Welcome to the Social Chameleon Show, where it's our goal to help you learn, grow, and transform into the person you want to become. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Matt Bullock. Matt founded eWay, a company that processes secure credit card payments for merchants in 1998, and formally launched the company in 2000. With the links to Australian banks completed in 2004, he set his sights on New Zealand, and by 2009 had partnered with all the major New Zealand banks, expanding payment services in the region. This was founded in 2011 by eWay's expansion into the United Kingdom. In 2014, eWay then expanded into Singapore, Hong Kong, and Malaysia. By late 2015, eWay became the first Australian payment gateway to offer a mobile integration with Apple Pay. Before its sale in April 2016, eWay had over 25,000 customers and processed $5.8 billion in online purchases in 2015, about a quarter of all internet transactions in Australia. After the sale of eWay, founder Matt Bullock instantly established Spinify, a new venture focused on workplace engagement and staff motivation. In the early days of Spinify, Matt sought out fellow CEOs to discuss the prospect of reinventing leaderboards by applying gamification principles and motivational psychological framework. The aim was to enhance the staff experience and lead them to work harder to achieve the business goals and their KPIs, key performance indicators. Spinify leaderboards reflect Matt's learning and experience in running global sales and service teams, and the continuous requirement to engage and motivate them to do more of the metrics that matter. With Spinify, you can create leaderboards to celebrate and motivate your team in real time via amazing gamification techniques. Matt knew that engaged staff who were motivated would provide a small uplift in sales performance individually, and that would build across the team, having a dramatic impact on revenue. Matt has really mastered this gamification principle. We do talk quite a bit about that. I hope you guys can gain a lot from it, not only his knowledge, but what he's doing in this space. Without further ado, welcome Matt. Matt, welcome to the Social Chameleon Show. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to connect with you and have you on here today.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the invite.
No problem. Thank you. So, you've done just so much with creating this great company, eWay, and then now off to Spinify and whatnot. I wanted to know, how do you identify gaps in the market or opportunities to bring innovation and solutions? You guys did so much, especially with eWay and now with Spinify, of being first, bringing first things to Australia, bringing all this innovation stuff. How do you have a framework for how you identify these things? How do you think about that?
For me, on both cases, are really just about problems that I had that I was trying to solve. So with eWay, I wrote some software and I was trying to sell it through PayPal. And 20 years ago, it was a very horrible experience, and I thought I could just do it better. And the same with eWay, as I had like 72 TVs on my screen, and I used different products there, and the experience again was just horrible. And I thought I could just do it better. So the main things that I've done personally out of need and felt the pain of it, then I wanted to go out and solve.
And that's really kind of seems to be a story a lot of times where, people just solving their own problems and then wind up connecting with more people that have the same problem.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and also for me, I did payments, which is a very serious thing, and now doing gamification, which is all about fun. So it was a good transition to jump from that one world to this world. Yeah,
definitely. I know and I'm not sure how it is in Australia, but there's so much regulation here in America, and so many things you've got to do and apply for and whatnot. I mean, I've never been into the process. I've heard a lot about it. So yeah, that's got to be a hard world to live in.
Yeah, it's a hard world, but I mean, it's a doable world. I just like it how gamification is all about fun, and what we're trying to do at Spinify is motivate people and make their job and their life fun and help that problem with people who just feel disengaged, which affects a lot of people.
With that, why did you start in Spinify? What did you see? When did you, I know this started with when you were the eWay, but what was the moment when you were like, there's something here and I need to just double down on this? What did that look like?
Well, for me, it was about, even though I had 72 TVs in my office, I still had a sales manager with a whiteboard sitting behind his desk. So it was about, how do I really get rid of this whiteboard? How do I fix it that when someone does something in Salesforce, for example, that it then pops puts it on the TV that everyone can see it immediately and creates that instant competition, as opposed to someone getting up, maybe writing on the whiteboard, maybe not writing on the whiteboard. And then the other thing was I had bells at E-Way, and people have to get up and ring the bell, but some people didn't want to ring the bell. Mm-hmm. Some people will only ring the bell like ding, and I'm like, that ain't ringing the bell. And so what we do at Spinify with the TVs as well is play someone's YouTube song and actually celebrate that person, that they did that achievement, which is good from a whole recognition peer point of view, that someone's, getting celebrated for something they did. And as a boss, you can kind of walk around and say, well done, but trying to do that every single time is practically impossible. But the TV will never not forget to say well done to someone for actually achieving something.
Yeah, what are some of the good things you guys have seen with this gamification process?
Well, there's just been so many different outcomes from so many different industries, from people being increasing the number of calls they do, for people just increasing the number of revenue that they make. And a lot of that's just really been about something really simple, which is just visibility of the data. So if staff can see what those numbers are, and they also have a target they're going to hit, they push, and it makes a difference. As opposed to a whiteboard that says I've got 56. I don't know, well, 56, what does 56 mean? As compared to something like on Spinify where I'm 56, but my target's 60, so I know I'm really, really close and I'm going to make it.
So, with that, I hear the positive. I was thinking, what is there anything like negative that happens? Like people will look at that and say, I'm in fifth. I'm not a second place kind of guy. I'm not a winner. I can't get there. Maybe get depressed, or saying, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to be first, whether it's, lie, cheat, steal, bribe people. Do you guys see stuff like that? And if you do, what do you guys do to maybe combat against that, or training or teaching?
So it's not really about first. The thing that we focus on is, and it's not really about the bottom either. It's about the middle.
Okay.
And so if you shift a few people to be the top, because the top person's always the top, it's very hard. The people down the bottom potentially don't really belong in the organization. If you can shift the middle 5%, it changes everything, because it's a lot of people and everyone moves up.
Okay.
So that's how we try and encourage people to use it, is to get general encouragement of everyone to try and lift. As for the negative side, we purely only focus on the positive. So we would show someone who overtook someone, show that someone who's moving up by putting a green arrow there, and just focus on here's something positive that's happening, not, here's a person who's just fallen down 8 places. Mm-hmm. And then we've got, many, many settings where you can do things where you can say, right, if you're at 0, I don't want to show you. If you're on the bottom 10%, I'm not going to show you. So wait till you've actually got going in the competition before you become visible. And all those sort of things help. Other things on top of that is like saying, well, you're the top sales guy. I'm going to set your target twice as high as everyone else. So on the progress bars, I can now see that you're not really number 1 anymore, but you're number 3, even though you've done more, but your target is higher. And that's a way to let everyone compete evenly.
Oh, I see.
But
so
we are constantly...
Go ahead.
Sorry, we're just constantly focusing on the positive. So that was what I was talking about before with the achievement, that you've done something well, you've achieved something, put your face up, play your YouTube video.
It's really clever how you make sure you don't have that really big gap, or that, the guy, whatever, Tom is always winning. You can show a percentage of a goal, not necessarily what the goal is. My goal may be 20, your goal may be 50, but we're both 48, 49% away from our goal. And that does, I can see how that could foster more competition and more positivity.
Yeah, and it's also good for that top person as well, to make them fight a little bit harder.
Right.
And the other way, if you have like a bunch of people that are the top people, and you have a lot of people who aren't, you can just put them in a separate competition, separate leaderboard altogether as well. So the TV will just loop around them. You don't have to have everyone together. But it is something that people worry about initially, but then they realize that it isn't something you really need to worry about at all.
Yeah, that was one of the few things I thought about. I wonder how people try to game the system, or how to try and cheat their way around winning, and different things like that. And it sounds like you guys have really thought a lot about that and put a lot of ways to modify things so that it's a little harder to get that or not fall into a depression or whatever?
Yeah, so from a cheating perspective, I think someone just figured out how to do it. When we're connected to something like Salesforce.com, you can't really cheat it, because if it's about close one opportunities, and then you close one a whole bunch of opportunities that just because you want to win on the leaderboard, it's going to catch up with you at some point. That's not what it is. And we also have a performance Spinify performance grid, which using that grid, but it's got two axes on it, which is outcomes versus activities. So on that will show you if someone's doing something silly, as in someone's closed a lot of deals, got a lot of outcomes, but hasn't actually done any activities, hasn't done any phone calls, hasn't had any meetings. So how'd you close deals if you didn't speak to anyone? And we call that person a hacker, and that hacker you really should warn about, because you can just see that fundamentally it just doesn't make sense.
I see how you guys have thought about this. It seems like you're really good at really thinking ahead and solving problems. What is your thinking process like? How do you go through this? Do you have a framework, or what do you reference from, or how do you think about that?
So for me, just like with Salesforce, it's all about the customer. So we constantly focus on what does the customer want. So we get lots and lots of feedback. We have live chat on our website. So we're currently using Drift, but we get lots and lots of feedback from that chat. And then what we do is we poll the customers. And then if we get 60% of people wanting a particular idea, then we'll seriously consider building it. If we get 80%, we'll just build it, even if we think it's crazy, because we just think, well, that's what the customer base wants, so we're just going to build it. And the polling really has about trying to understand, because you only got so much time to build, and trying to figure out what is the key feature that people are really going to want that's going to float their boat.
What was one of the craziest things you guys are like, it hit the 80% threshold, so our rule is we build it, and you guys were just thinking, this is just crazy, there's no reason or way this is going to succeed, but it did. Do you have an example like that?
Yeah, not really, because I pretty much think that everything that people have voted for, you just go, you know what, and once it's got that critical number, if I even thought it was crazy, I now go, you know what, it's not crazy. So I don't think we've built our own ideas that were crazy. So we had a concept of, it's got the person's photo on there. We had a concept called moods, where you had to upload a sad face, a happy face, and a really excited face. And then your face would change based on your performance. But we could never get anyone. It's hard enough getting people to upload one photo, let alone three. So that was something that we had that we ended up dropping. But it would have been so cool if everyone did it, because you'd see all these faces and expressions changing. But trying to get people to do that was too crazy, too difficult.
Do you ever go to like an avatar, or you just kind of got rid of the idea altogether?
Oh no, so we have avatars. So some people don't want to upload photos, but we find it's really important for the engagement that you actually have the picture of a person on the TV. So I can see it's my name. It's all about me. This is the thing I did. This is what I'm doing, and it's very personal, as opposed to just having a name and a number. It's harder for people to connect.
Right. Yeah, you get that personalization and whatnot. I can see how that would work out. What has been the best failure you have when you look back and say, I'm glad I went through this and I learned a lot. And what was that like? What did you learn? How did you think about it? How did you get through that?
I think for me, the building product has been a real learning curve compared to how I used to build product at E-Way. In the fact that we're doing really short sprints, so we're talking to a customer, we're finding out about an idea, we've heard it, we think it's a good idea, and then we'll build it, and then we're releasing it potentially that day or the next day. And the way that we've built it all on AWS using Lambda and serverless, that we can very quickly go from idea to execution, and then also on that execution, that once that's live, we have the concept that everyone gets it, so we don't have separate instances that a large company gets and someone else gets something else. One feature is for everyone. But the speed and really understanding MVP, so even talking to customers and understanding what they want, and then really going, okay, well, you want this, but really what it really is just this little bit. And if we just do this, that's going to get you 90% there, which is enough. And figuring it out, as opposed to building the mothership that will go, okay, well, that will only take us 6 months and here we go, ta-da, as opposed to just trying to get that one thing out that ticks a lot of boxes. And we find over the time now, more of these things that we've done, then when we have a sales call, people will say, oh, it's got to do this, it's got to do this, it really must do this, it's really, really got to do that. And we go, yeah, we do all those things. And they go, oh, okay. And the more those sort of conversations have where people come with their whole perceptions about what gamification is and what it needs to do, and that we satisfy them from the go, it's so much easier to sell.
What are the big objections or pitfalls or whatever it is you hear from customers that you guys really have to deal with on a constant basis?
I think the hardest one, and it's just people in business generally, is that they go, okay, we need gamification. We should put something up on the TVs. We should increase the visibility. We should change the office culture. And then they'll say, but I don't know what my KPIs are. I don't know what I should be measuring, which in its own world is completely insane. If you've got staff and they're doing something and they're not being measured and they don't even know what they should be doing, like should they make 50 calls a day? Should they book 10 meetings a week? What should it be that you should have that target? And we're saying to a lot of people that struggle trying to understand what that target is. And I think once they've got it and they say that's the number, and then it helps the staff as well that they now know a number. They're trying to hit something. And I think the other thing on top of those, people generally focus on the outcome. We must do 50 grand's worth of deals this day or this month. But really the thing that you should focus on is what's the activity that drives the outcome. And that's the thing to put on the leaderboard. Well, if I make 50 calls a day, I will get 10 deals. If I book 10 meetings, if I do so many tasks. So whatever it is that you need to do in that, either mainly in that sales process, but it can be in service or anything, that will drive that outcome. And I think that initially was an issue, but it becomes less and less. There's also less of it as well now, but the fear of putting those metrics in front of the staff. Mm-hmm. And like, oh no, what's that going to do? How's that going to affect the culture? But I think not doing it's more crazy than doing it, because it's suddenly openness. It's like, here's the company. You can have teams, so teams versus teams. You can have single metrics for the whole company, and then you can have individuals. So it doesn't just have to be about the individual. Some places don't have anything about the individual because it's truly about teams. Mm-hmm. East versus West, this is what we're doing. But at least having something that you're trying to achieve, and then whatever you did last month, how you do it better again this month. Because otherwise you're just doing something. You don't really know, is it good, is it bad? We just did it. Okay, how'd we go? So we have a good month? Oh, yeah. How'd we go? Oh, same as last month, I think. It's okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is, it's hard if, we could just head west all day long, but if we don't know where we're going, we're just going to keep going west until we go around the world. And that's nice. Do you guys walk them through the process of identifying their KPIs or trying to hone in on them? Or is that something you guys just say, here's a framework, go ahead and get that done and come back to us?
Oh, we show them a whole bunch of examples of what people have done, but in the end of the day, it's different for every business about what moves the needle. And then most people just get over through that whole thing and actually figure out, okay, this is what we do. On a really simple basis, you just put the outcome out there. Okay, so how many deals did we win? Mm-hmm. And it's purely just about dollars. And in some instances, like real estate, just being about dollars can be okay because they're very much focused just on dollars.
And then I want to talk about how did you get involved with this Pledge 1%? What was it about that was maybe different or better that really wanted you to get involved and really very public about it?
Yeah, so I'm a Pledge 1% ambassador. I did the pledge in Sydney with the guys from Atlassian. And for me, we had a sick child and we ended up doing a lot of stuff with Ronald McDonald House, and his name's Edmund. He's all good now. But as a result of going through that whole experience, my wife works one day a week, volunteers at Ronald McDonald House, and then we set up a foundation. And as part of that foundation, we give away $50,000 every year to people like Ronald McDonald House. And for me, it just makes sense. So the part of that 1% pledges or giving back as well. So not just the charities. I help businesses with Salesforce, telling them all the crazy things that I've done and how to fix those things. So I spend a lot of time telling people what you should do, shouldn't do. And then I also do, I just did one 2 days ago where give courses on optimization for people's websites. Mm-hmm. So anything, giving back is cool. So it's the whole thing of how do we give something back? And if everyone just gave 1%, it would change the whole world. It's such a simple concept. So many more people could do it. That would just make a massive difference. And about that 1% as well, you give it to something that actually matters to you and your staff. Mm-hmm. So it's which then makes the staff feel happy, and it's just a good cultural thing. So other thing is also for us, if someone's a not-for-profit, and we work with lots of them, that we'll give them very, very special pricing because we understand that it's hard world that they're in.
Yes, I looked into it a lot. It's a really amazing thing. It's either you can do 1% equity, which I thought was really amazing, 1% of charitable product, or 1% of your time, or you can do all three. And I know you guys
three. Yeah.
Yes, that's
yeah,
really
and it's up to you about as a person which one you decide to do. So it's not like it's this heavily policed thing. It's up to you of how much you give. I think at times I give more than 1%. So but it's all about what works for you. But it is a good thing.
Yes. It is. I love it. It's great. And a lot of places 1% is a rounding error. So and 1% of your time, that's not a lot. A lot. And I think it sounds like it lowers the bar to entry for people that maybe don't normally do that kind of stuff. Like, 1% is not a big thing. It's a few minutes of my time here and there, or a little bit of money or whatever.
Yeah, but it makes a massive difference to people. Yes. I've seen the things the help that we've given people and the money and how grateful and the outcomes that it's happened for. And you look on a bigger scale, people like Benioff and Salesforce, and he's built a children's hospital.
Wow.
So who knows where it ends on giving that 1%. And the other thing, guys, I had reading programs that have helped hundreds of thousands of kids around the world learn to read. So it's about finding things that you're passionate about and things that you want to help people with. And I the whole thing also about giving discounts on your product as well makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I love the mission. I love the thing. And I love that it's an easy barrier to entry, and we can get a lot of people involved that make a huge difference. 1%, 1% of anything. We talk about that a lot here on the show. If you just get 1% better every day or every week or every month, that's 12% gain over a year. People fight for a lifetime for that kind of stuff. But if we just work just a little bit, whatever it is, every day, month or week, you can make huge strides in your life.
Yeah, and you have a look at all the companies that have done it. They're crazy. And that's what Spinify is all about, is putting that data up on the screen to go, okay, well, we did this last month or last week. How do we do better? Mm. But to do better, you have to measure it.
Right.
Because if you don't measure it, you don't know what you did, so you don't know what you got to do. The other part on it that's really important is having time. So I know, I'm 56, I've got to get to 60, but how long have I got to get there? So another important part is saying, I've got 2 days to get there, I've got 2 weeks to get there. And having that time and that countdown timer pushes you to do something. It creates that urgency of what it is. As opposed to a whiteboard that you just have 56 written on it. It's not telling you how quick I've got to do this thing.
Right. Yeah, I guess, from what I understand, we drastically overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. So I guess I like that, to have that process. And what does this look like? How do we visualize this? How do we say we're here now? What's working? What's not working? What are we doing? Where are we going? And then creating that roadmap to where you want to be.
Yeah, and we talk to people because we work with a guy named Yukai Chow, who's like a gamification god, and he came up with a thing called the Oculus Framework, which is all these different ways to gamify people. And he talks about things like epic goals. So it shouldn't just be about one leaderboard. It should be about a leaderboard that you're trying to do something for this week, and then you have a bigger leaderboard that you might be trying to do something for a month, and then you might have a target that you're trying to do for every quarter. And all those things sum up to be doing something epic, as opposed to I just need to make 50 calls a day.
Right.
And then when you've got all those things tied in with messaging, that's what drives people and culture to make a change and the shift of trying to get that stuff done because they're bought into the message.
Right. And then everybody's got the same purpose, the same goals, the same direction. And everybody can band together and help each other and grow and move forward, and everybody knows where they're headed. Yeah.
And those goals could be made up of company goals, or they could be made up of team goals. So it doesn't just have to be individuals, but everyone is fighting for something. And every company is doing this. It's just how you actually represent it and get that messaging across, because we're all companies are all full of people, and we're all trying to achieve something to get something done.
And you guys have, I like the way you guys have found a fun, innovative way to visualize that and show the progress. Where are we today? Where are we headed? How far along are we on that journey?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the hardest thing of the whole build of Spinify, was like, how do you take that data and put it on the screen? Because there's lots of other products out there, but they also look like call centers with 58,000 different numbers on it. You can't read it. So one of our main things was that if you stand 30 feet back from the TV, that you can actually read it. Because there's stuff out there like you see in call centers where the numbers are terrible. Like, the only person who really would care about those numbers are the manager, not the staff. So it's not going to change the outcome. And so, well, the average response time to pick up the phone was 2.3 seconds. We need to make it 2.2 seconds. But as a general staff member that I'm trying to do something, do I really care? Is it really going to change my behaviour? Is it fun? No. So that key question of is it fun really comes across everything that we do. Going, is this going to be fun? Is this going to motivate me? Am I going to get excited about it? And if the answer is no, then we just won't do it.
I like that. I like that philosophy. We definitely need a lot more fun in our lives, period.
Yeah, totally. And especially at work. Yeah. Work can be a boring place, right? So to do things that's why we've got things like you can pick a racing car and the color you want. So the leaderboard has a racing car going, so you can even pick donuts. So you can go, well, I'm that pink donut. No, that's where I am on my leaderboard. But again, it's just another quirky, different way of showing the data and trying to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it helps people express their personality and the different things that they're into and kind of make that shine and have a sense of ownership and pride in what they're doing and the goals they're achieving. And
100%. And then all tied back into the company's branding philosophy.
Definitely.
Because that's important as well.
Absolutely, yes. That is true. And if you can get your employees behind it, they're going to take care of the customers and each other and everything along the lines. What does a typical morning look like for you? Do you have maybe the first 60 to 90 minutes? Do you have habits or routines that you just like to do every day to kind of get you going and keep you on track with things?
So I have Spinify is in Australia and it's also in Canada. So I have a stand-up call every morning. Okay. Which the stand-up call's probably like a sit-down, lay-down call because it goes on for like an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. And what we're doing is talking about what each team did overnight and then what the other team's going to do, what customers are talking about, what we need to do, where we need to focus, and product development of what's this looking like, how are we progressing with this. And then after that, I have a sales call. That's a development kind of customer call, and then I have a sales call. Mm-hmm. And then the structure for me after that call is it changes every single day. So it's all about what I'm focused on, that I'm trying to move the needle in our company. Mm-hmm. So I may be crazy for a week on marketing. I may then be crazy for a week on product, and I then may be crazy for sales. And then some days I'm doing all three. But I'm generally just focused on one of those three types of things, and I'm trying to push or solve something or do something.
Is there any book or books or things like that that really helped you on your journey to where you are today and all the things you've accomplished?
There's I can't remember the name. I'm just going to have a look. There's I used to use Intercom, which is a great product, a chat product.
Yes,
and I recently have started using Drift. The reason I started using it is because I like the bots of what they were doing. Intercom has bots. I just found these bots better than Intercom.
Okay.
And I'm trying to find the book. Here it is, Conversational Marketing.
Okay.
And it's written by the founder of Drift.
Okay.
And it's a very easy read, but it's the whole concept is killing forms, and anyway, you have a form on your website, turning it into a bot, and then having very personalized messaging. So you've come to a gamification page. I know your name, and I pop it up and go, "Hey, Bobby, how are you?" And I have that connection, and it'll know that you're a lead in Salesforce, and put my name, and the person chatting will see it's actually a message that came from me. And then the bot will then take them through a journey of collecting questions and booking that meeting. And so we've found that with Intercom, we were using it more like something like Pardot as it drips and forever just constantly going back to someone saying, "Hey, you there? Do you want to chat? Do you want to chat?" As opposed to Drift, where we're not even in it at all because the bot's doing all the work. The bot's asking the questions and people are actually answering them, which is cool. And it's booking the meetings.
Wow. Have you found
it's very, very personalized is the key to it.
Have you found that has helped kind of lower the barrier to entry, get people a little bit more warmed up with that instead of, like you were saying, you're like filling out a form? Does that increase the conversion rate or anything like that? Increase the follow-up, the length that they're going through these things?
Yeah, we're absolutely getting more people to interact with us. And that's part of building landing pages as well, and having those landing pages have a specific conversation about, "Hey, you're looking at this thing. We know this thing. Do you want to chat on this thing?" Very, very specific, as opposed to, "Hey, just click on this button and start a free trial."
Right. Yeah, I like that. I can see how that could get the conversation going, help with objections, questions that they have.
Absolutely. So all the stuff that you would normally say, the bot's doing it, and then sending them on multiple paths. And at all times as well, the bot's also saying, "Well, do you just want to speak to a human?" "Yeah, I just want to speak to a human." And then someone will kick in and go, "Yeah, hey, how are you?"
That's nice.
But it's clever. It's clever what they've done with this whole conversational marketing, and that book is a really easy read, and it really, really talks about the whole history of chat and how you can really get rid of forms. Because forms are terrible. People don't fill them out.
Yes, they don't. Right, and you've got to have less and less boxes so they'll fill them out.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, you look at the forms as well. But you know, as the marketer, you really want to collect 20 things. But you know that the more fields you have on there, the less chance someone's going to fill it out.
Right. Yeah.
So we're constantly like stripping them back, and then it just makes it harder and harder for the salesperson because you're getting less data. But it's all about how many leads you get.
Right. Yeah, and if you can't communicate with those leads, it's really really hard uphill battle.
Yeah, it's crazy. Another thing that Drift does, which is very interesting, is because we also use a product called Calendly, but we're starting to use Drift as well that books the meetings, and it does some cool things where it says, "Hey, I'm available these 3 times," which works, which is better than just saying to someone, "Here's my whole calendar. Can you pick something?" So there's lots of stuff talking about when you give people less options, they'll pick something, as opposed to just saying, "Well, here's a blank piece of paper, you pick a date."
Yeah, there's a lot of good research on that.
Yeah, a lot of good research on that. And then things like the follow-up email to tell someone that you have got the meeting booked. Drift is also doing things like sending an email to the rep, which goes out and looks at all the data. and then says, this is what this person is and here's their profile, which kind of helps the conversation move along going, hey, I noticed this about your company. The other part that's really interesting is that we use a product called Clearbit in there, where we get lots of information. There's other companies like Built With that have the same sort of information, where we can find out what technologies they've got installed. Mm-hmm. So the bot can pop up and say, oh, hey, I know she's using Salesforce, because we've looked at their website and we've seen what's on there, and we know what sort of company they're from. We know what Cisco's on our website. We know their location. There's like 200 and something bits of data that we know, and then from that we can also route the lead to different people, have different conversations, flag it as a VIP, and really just do some intelligent processing as opposed to just going, well, just have a chat.
Right, and you can probably tailor the offerings you have. Like, hey, did you know we work with Salesforce, or we're a partner, or whatever it is you guys are doing, whatever. I'm sure that really helps a lot.
Yeah. So we're an ISV, and then from a service perspective, we were using Intercom for service because it's good enough that you can do the whole thing. We recently flipped to Zendesk, and they set up their whole help desk portal. And now that we have that portal, we can we've got the bot now saying, hey, here's the question that pops up going, here's the possible answers in Drift. And the person says, well, this is the answer. No, okay, that's not the answer. Would you like to create a case? The person goes, yes. Okay, what's your problem? And the person goes, blah, 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 types it in, and then creates the case in Zendesk.
Oh, nice.
So it's tried to do case deflection by giving the knowledge. The knowledge didn't work, and then it's flipped over to actually create the case without a person being in there. And a person doesn't even need to be in there for that experience. But it's a good experience for the end user on a service perspective.
I like
that. That's the things that you want a bot to do.
Where can people find out more about what you're up to, if they want to connect, if they want to learn more about the companies and everything that you're doing?
So just go to spinify.com. So
perfect.
And click on the chat bot will pop up.
There it is.
Talk to the chat bot. Yeah.
Talk to the chat bot first. Yeah. I will link to that in the show notes for everybody so they can easily get in there. See what Matt's up to and see what Spinify's got going on. I look through their stuff. It's some really awesome stuff, and I'm really kind of excited about the way that kind of thing, those things are heading, and I can just see the potential in encouraging people and building camaraderie and teamwork and all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all, like I said in the beginning, it's all about making work fun, and we're super excited to be on this journey.
Yes, definitely. Here on the Social Chameleon Show, we like to challenge our listeners and our viewers out there to get, like we were saying earlier, that 1% better. And I would like you to be the one that issues this week's challenge.
So for me, what I was saying before is, if you're a business and you don't have your set KPIs, you might have KPIs that we want to make this much revenue. Do you have KPIs for actually activities that your staff must be doing? And if you don't, set them. And then if you want to take it to another level, use Spinify.
Yeah, absolutely.
But set those levels, figure out what they are, make your staff aware that I need you to do 10 meetings a day, whatever it is. You've got to do these things, and then push them to get those things go. Bobby, you've only done 5. Let's go, man. At 3:00, you've got another 5 to go. Let's go.
I love that urgency. I love that challenge. Yeah, if we don't set a destination, we have no idea where we're headed, and that's great. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you want to make sure that you shared or you talked about here today?
No, for me, people take business too seriously, and we're trying to put the fun back in it, but still get those outcomes. So push hard, but have a good time. Is, I guess, my message for people about business.
Definitely, and you're the guy that knows all about that. With your gamification and all that things. Thank you so much for being out here today. I know you're very busy, and it's very early in Australia. I really do appreciate it, And I hope everybody out there really got a lot out of this and learned something here from Matt today.
Yeah, cool. Been great talking to everyone. Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Welcome back, guys. Man, that was a great interview with Matt. Just an absolute pleasure to learn from somebody who's done so much things. I really do encourage you guys to look into this Pledge 1%. I think it's a really great organization. It's a great concept, and it's such a small thing. Just 1%. It doesn't even feel like anything, but the impact and the potential is so great. You guys can head over to spinify.org to check that out. There's be links in the show notes to that. Make sure you guys reach out to Matt and Spinify, see what he's up to, see if this is something you can use for your organization. I think it's absolutely fantastic and a great concept and idea, like we talked about. And for this month's giveaway, like we always talk about here, we're looking for great innovation. We're constantly out there reading things, doing new things, checking out services and products and things to help improve our lives here on the show and our processes and our businesses. And we want to share those with you guys. We want to give you guys that lift, that help, whatever it is we got going on this month to help you guys grow that 1%, like we talk about, whether it's, you're growing 1% monthly, weekly, or daily, things that help you have a more efficient, effective, productive life, whatever it is that we find that we're using, we're in love with to help you guys. Check it out. Head over to thesocialchameleon.show. Let us help you get a leg up on these things by entering the giveaway. We love getting this stuff away. We love interacting with companies and products. You know something, let us know. We'll take a look and see if it's something we can get you guys. As always, the best way to help grow the community yourself is sharing this, discussing it, teaching it with other people. If you like what we're doing, leaving a review, liking the episode, reviewing it, let us know how we're doing. We love feedback, whether it's good or bad. Let us know what's up. In between shows, you guys can connect with us on social media at Social Chameleon Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, you can subscribe to the YouTube version of this or subscribe in your favorite podcast app. For past episodes and links to everything we talk about here in the show today, visit thesocialchameleon.show. And until next time, have fun at work, play hard at work. Like Matt was saying, it's a great concept. And continue learning and growing and transforming into the person you want to become.